G'day folks, this is Graham Roger with a message for you in regards to Anzac Day 2020. I am sure we are all aware that Anzac Day public gatherings will not be held this year. So in answer to that, I would like to do my small part in bringing Anzac Day into the living rooms of all my friends and supporters around Australia. Several years ago, I recorded an album titled They Answered the Call. The album served as a tribute to all the diggers past and present who have or are serving here and overseas on behalf of our country. The songs on the CD covered most of the wars and conflicts involving Australia, from the First World War right up to Afghanistan. I would like to share with you some snippets of the songs in honour of the brave men and women, past and present, who gave up civilian life in order to don an army uniform and serve our country. Come, let's share Anzac Day together. They came from the cities, they came from the bush, and took up a khaki uniform to seek adventure on a mission to serve king and country on the battlefields overseas. This was the Great War, the war to end all wars, the time when the true Aussie spirit of mateship was born. These men were Australia's colonial sons. They came from towns and cities and from stations far away, sons of bankers, shearers, rouseabouts, ready for the fray. For the Cooey had gone out, fall in and list at once. Come on, you brave colonial sons, we need you at the front. They traded ties and waistcoats, blucher boots and dungarees, and took up a khaki uniform, slouch hat and 303. Cream of the nation's manhood, pride of the people's heart. Devil may care and reckless, and eager to play their part. They were Australia's colonial sons. The devil may care who proudly wore the badge of the rising sun. Australia's colonial sons. They gave birth to a legend, but a job had to be done. Well, the war to end all wars never lived up to its name, when along came in 1939 the Second World War. The year 1942 saw Australia fighting for its life in the jungles of New Guinea, as the ever-approaching Japanese army surged towards our shores. In Milne Bay, Rabaul and the grim Kokoda Trail, our boys took on the enemy under atrocious conditions, and together, with the help of the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, they halted the advance of the enemy and helped turn the tide of the war. Now let's honour those angels without halos. There's a stretcher case coming down the track, move over to the side. There's a wounded digger on their backs coming out from the front line. One misplaced step means a fatal plunge down the chasm dark and deep. Step aside and let the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels keep their feet. Perspiration streams down from beneath those fuzzy locks, and bulging muscles strain to keep safe the weight on top. Barefoot through the knee-deep mud that clings and sticks like glue, the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels bring the wounded diggers through. They were angels without halos who toiled by the diggers' side. In one of Australia's darkest hours they helped to turn the tide. They joined the ranks of heroes, and history will unveil the sacrifice they made along that grim Kokoda Trail. From the 1940s, we went on to serving in Korea, Borneo and Malaya before entering the war in Vietnam. Over 50,000 Aussie troops left our shores in the 60s and early 70s to play their part beside the Americans and 3,000 New Zealanders, described as a dirty war in which our diggers were shunned by many of their fellow Australians due to the large amount of ill-founded propaganda that was fed out at the time. Finally recognised in 1987 for their brave deeds with a large homecoming parade, the psychological damage had already taken its toll on many. but their deeds will never be forgotten, and their bravery will live on forever, cemented on the battlefields such as Coral and Long Tan.
As a storm raged, our choppers made a fresh ammo drop. The APCs charged, they just couldn't be stopped, while artillery shells tore the plantation apart, and the enemy fled under cover of dark. In that rain-sodden hellhole they counted the cost, 24 wounded and 18 men lost. We paid a high price to receive victory's hand, so here's to the soldiers who fought at Long Tan. So here's to the soldiers who fought at Long Tan and all other battles in South Vietnam. You were fighting for those who would dare to be free. Your deeds will live on in our memory. But the overrun Aussies dug in and fought back and stopped the North Vietnamese in their tracks. Then we turned them around and we hunted them back in the Battle of Coral Balmoral. We cared for our mates just like brothers and fought like the Anzacs of old. We died and we bled for each other, and together we did ourselves proud at the Battle of Coral.
Well, war took on a different face as we entered Timor, Iraq and Afghanistan. Fighting was not so much hand-to-hand, but more remote, with missiles, rockets from jets, etc., taking the place of the bayonet and rifle shell. This was the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st, a change in tactics, but wounds remained the same, with the psychological scars embedded as deep as in any previous conflict. Out of the darkest times come some of the most touching moments, based on the true story of a little girl and an Australian soldier. Give This Hug to Daddy will tug on your heartstrings as the story unfolds to an uplifting and emotional end.
Of soldiers in uniform, she rushed up to the nearest one and stood there by his side. He leant down to hear just what she had to say. She threw her arms around him and took him by surprise. And this is what we heard the young girl say. Please give this hug to Daddy when you see him. Tell him that his little princess loves him so. And tell him that I really, really miss him, much more than anyone could ever know. Don't tell him Mummy sometimes cries herself to sleep at night. That would make him feel so very sad. Please give this hug to Daddy when you see him. He's the bravest soldier in Afghanistan.
None of us will forget Anzac Day 2020, but honouring our diggers from within our living rooms has no less spirit and enthusiasm than if we were cheering from the footpath as the soldiers marched by. Let's all enjoy Anzac Day 2020.
I am the wind that whispers through the old gum trees. I am the scent of golden wattle on the breeze. I'm the screech of cockatoos, the drumming of the brumbies' hooves. I am the rain that falls upon the land. I am the soil, I'm the burning desert sand. I'm cicadas on a summer's night, the wedge-tailed eagle taking flight. I am the golden sunset, the floodplains in the big wet. I am the dreamtime stories, the songs of hope and glory. I am the digger who answers up the call. I am the spirit of mateship in us all. I'm the artists, poets and the scribes who've kept our heritage alive. I am the bruised sky of an early summer storm. I'm the sun-kissed ranges at the breaking of the dawn. I'm a billy boiling on the fire, the Southern Cross in the evening sky. I am the flag that unites us one and all. I am the waltz that makes us stand up proud and tall. I was born of tears and blood and
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.